guys, welcome back to another video. Let's jump right into it here, talking about the first Xbox Game Pass announcement for July. Here is the games. You see them up here on the screen. There are 7 games being added to the service, and overall, just from a quick glance, I always like to do this just from the eye test. How does this month look? It looks okay, nothing crazy. One game I actually am very excited for after playing the betas for it was Exoprimal. The game is fun. I'm definitely going to be jumping into that, and that is a big day one third-party launch into Xbox Game Pass. It is a Capcom game, and it's just perfect for the service as you are going to be playing co-op with your friends. Really, really cool. I do like the concept. I like all of the different suits and abilities that you have, and the strategy you have to employ with having different people on your team doing different things to be able to continue to advance. I like how you're shooting dinosaurs and raptors, whatever you want to call them. Really cool stuff here. So Exoprimal, I am excited for that, but everything else, nothing too crazy. The other one I would say that will have people excited is Grand Theft Auto 5 is coming back into the service. I mean, this is obviously not a new game. It is old at this point. We're looking forward to Grand Theft Auto 6, but this has been in Game Pass before. They took it out, which was very disappointing, and now it is coming back into the service. And speaking about Grand Theft Auto 5, there was an interesting tweet here in terms of why they do this and why Game Pass is successful for these rotating games that come in, come out, and then come back onto the service. It says here, this is from Dick Strickland, says the last time GTA 5 was on Game Pass, GTA franchise revenues went from 179 million to 210 million on a quarterly basis. And that statement alone, if people are wondering whether big third-party studios see the value in Xbox Game Pass, they absolutely see the value. It's whether they see enough value to put their game in there right away on day one. But for a game like GTA, they're probably looking at their numbers and they're thinking, we don't need to do any of that. But once the game starts to fall off a little bit in revenues, let's revitalize it. Let's put it into Game Pass. Let's get that marketing and let's try to get increased revenues that way, which is why I think this is happening right now with GTA 5. So Game Pass is definitely very successful for a lot of these games that got put into the service and need that boost for people to remember it, discover it, play it, all that type of stuff. It says here that Microsoft has also proven that the Game Pass effect is real. Users will buy games when a title rotates out. I bought GTA 5 again when the title was leaving Game Pass. I have multiple copies of GTA 5. For some reason, as it was leaving Game Pass, I bought it on my Series X because I wanted to get that upgrade when the next gen stuff was going to be coming out. So it worked with me. I'm sure it worked with a lot of people. It says this is a good strategy that Take-Two has used to periodically help spark player engagement, game sales, and in-game purchases within GTA Online. So very cool, because I feel like with big AAA games, if they don't launch into Game Pass day one, we may see more stuff like this where they eventually do come into the service to try to get engagement back into it. Even if it is way after its release, people will be excited and still want to play the game itself. So GTA 5 coming in, I thought it was interesting as they were putting it back in the service, and I'm sure people will be playing it now again that it is back into Game Pass, and then potentially buying it before it leaves again. Who knows when that will be. Now there's some other games here like The Cave, which is like a puzzle platformer style of game, and it comes from Double Fine is involved in this game. So it says here that it is from the Monkey Island and Maniac Mansion creator Ron Gilbert and Double Fine Productions. So I looked at a trailer of it. It looks like it's just very quirky comedy stuff that I actually kind of like. That style of storytelling, that humor, just kind of relaxed, nothing too emotional. So I probably will be checking that out. This is coming to cloud and console on July 18th. You have another day one game here, Tectonica, in-game preview on July 18th. And this looks like it's like one of those crafting, building games, simulation style of games. You are running a factory on an alien island. It kind of looks, when you watch the trailers for it, I think I actually have it up here. It kind of reminds me a little bit of No Man's Sky with collecting the resources and doing this type of stuff. So this is definitely up the alley for a lot of people who like these styles of games, and it is a day one game. Now, Exoprimal we already talked about, and then there is Insurgency Sandstorm PvP, very realistic shooter that is coming to PC, Game Pass PC on July 11th. Common Hood is a squatter settlement simulation game with highly customizable base building tools. So if that's your thing, cloud, console, and PC on July 11th, and then McPixel, July 6th. So today, cloud console and PC. And again, this is just an adventure game. I quickly checked it out. I like my pixel games, I like my pixel art, older school looking style of adventures. And I just wanted to see what this one was all about. So again, nothing crazy with this release with Game Pass. And I mean, we're waiting for the Activision stuff. I'm sure that'll have a huge amount of effect on how Game Pass improves. Still have Forza Motorsport and Starfield coming to Game Pass day one, but it will be interesting to see how else they fill in gaps as we move throughout the rest of 2023. Now let's come over here and let's talk about Starfield. So as we know, Xbox's support with games from that they have purchased, from what we understand, is their mentality has been hands off. They've been allowing these studios to go and pretty much continue with their creative ventures and do what they want. We saw Phil Spencer when he was on the Kind of Funny Games cast talking about this and how he believed that they should have been more involved with Redfall, especially with trying to get that game to 60 FPS on the console at a far earlier point than when they finally did step in. And that's something I think that we will see kind of a change. I think Xbox is going to be more hands-on going forward with a lot of these games coming out, try to give them as much support as possible to make sure that there is no Redfall debacle, which not only hurts Xbox, but also hurts the reputation of the studios that make those games. Now, Todd Howard talks about Xbox's support, saying that it has been incredible. He says, we're focusing on what we can do on this game. I'll say that Xbox their support has been incredible on this. Phil, Matt Booty, and the team over there. Obviously, we worked with them for a long time, going back 20 years with Morrowind, but being a part of Xbox and their support, it really has allowed us to be this ambitious and take these risks, and fingers crossed. I mean, that is good to hear that they are supporting them as much as he says that they are supporting them, allow them to take these risks, allow them to delay this game out further and make sure that it is going to be coming out polished, take the risk that's pissing off a lot of people, I think, with the 1440p 30 FPS and the 4K 30 FPS on console, to not sacrifice on the visual fidelity, not run into issues where the game comes out and if they were to have a performance mode where there's going to be a lot of stuttering depending on what's going on with the actual action on the screen. I think, again, one of the things I've talked about in previous videos, one of the best things that I think could have happened to kind of explain, at least in my mind, why Todd Howard was saying what he was saying when it comes to the 30 frames per second on console was Final Fantasy 16, as we saw the technical analysis of that game. And although it did have a performance mode, it was a very hard time hitting that performance mode unless it was in combat, which was at 60 frames per second locked essentially, but the resolution was actually dropped down all the way to about 720p in a lot of Final Fantasy 16. And I feel like for Starfield, Todd Howard had that decision, make those sacrifices in the visual fidelity in a game that obviously he is continuously talking about the little details of everything, even like food and all that type of stuff, and run into issues where the visual fidelity is greatly sacrificed in order to try to keep a steadier frames per second that may not actually still always be steady at 60 frames per second. And they went with the 30 FPS thing. So I think that kind of makes sense as to why he went with that. Some people will be against it still, no matter what. Others won't. As long as it is a smooth, good feeling 30 frames per second on the Xbox consoles, I don't think it is going to be that big of a deal with a game like Starfield. I mean, we have some more stuff here when we look at some of the details of this game. They've been putting out some tweets. They have this little quick 5-second clip of going in and boarding enemy ships in the combat. And even in this 5-second clip, you can see, take a look at this combat here with the enemy getting shot and the reaction to the bullets and everything, the huge improvements that we saw from the very first trailer that they put out a while ago. We also see this, like stuff like this is when they're talking about the details, all of the food that you're going to be able to snack on within this game. They have some pictures here of some of the stuff like the steak, whatever this thing is. I think it is Midnight Delight, orange juice of transcendence, and you can see just what it does. Restores 15 health. You can see the value, the mass, all of that type of stuff, and you're going to be able to see all of these things hopefully in great detail. I mean, this is all we're taking their word for it when it comes to how detailed this world is going to be, but my fingers crossed is that it is going to end up being like that. And we also have this here, which was, I'm not sure if this was actually something that we did see on the trailer or not. Some people were saying this was already known, but apparently there's this leak here where there's going to be an AK-47 within this game. It says here that apparently this is a leaked Starfield image, which shows that there's fast travel directly from the mission menu. AK-47 armor has thermal, corrosive, airborne, and radiation buffs. Item rarity, weight value, and special properties like an O2 filter for increased oxygen. And this is stuff that Not sure if we already saw this because that 45-minute video probably had the majority of this stuff in there already, but this looks like this is a picture that wasn't shown previously and not a futuristic weapon. And I'm sure there are also going to be lots of other futuristic weapons. And then finally, 125 gigabytes for Starfield when you're thinking about storage space, which is a hefty amount of space on the Series X and definitely the Series S. Is really going to, I think, push a lot of people to think about going and picking up an expansion card, or this is going to be the game that most people are only playing for a long period of time. Probably won't be that big of a deal with the 125 gigabytes that's going to take up on those hard drives. But overall, man, I can't wait for Starfield. It continuously sounds better and better. We're starting to see more of those marketing campaigns come out. We're going to see more clips like this as we lead up to September. It is actually very, very close, about 2 months away before we're actually going to be able to get our hands on Starfield. And then finally, we still have 2 big shows coming from Xbox in the next couple of months. We have this year Gamescom, which is August 23rd to August 27th. Xbox will be there. And Aaron Greenberg is kind of hyping it up. He says, excited to be heading back to Gamescom this year to see so many faces familiar and new. Our teams have been working hard on our show, floor presence, and more. This will be a special year. Looking forward to sharing even more details soon. And I mean, he says this should be a special year. We don't know exactly what that means. If that means there will be new games shown off, reveals that we haven't heard before, deeper dive gameplays of games that they've already announced, all of that type of stuff. But he thinks it's going to be a pretty big year. Generally, when it comes to Gamescom after the Xbox showcase, it's never nearly close to what the Xbox showcase is, but there is some announcements in there that are surprising, probably some Game Pass announcements. So definitely something to keep your eye on. Again, August 23rd to 27th. And then after that in September, there's going to be Tokyo Game Show, which we talked about yesterday. That basically this is always a show that Xbox has to show up for if they want to break into that market. And with all of the Japanese stuff coming onto Xbox Game Pass, I think it'll be really interesting to see how they frame that to sell it in the Japanese market. And then if there's going to be some more surprise announcements at that. So 2 more big shows to look forward to before the end of this year with Gamescom and the Tokyo Game Show. But I will end the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you're new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.
Bye.